Hello everyone, I'm Rhonda and welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to go over all the books that I read in September. You know how these videos work. I'm going to go over all the books I read in the month of September, and let's do a quick update on my September TBR. You guys know I use my TBR prompt jar to help me pick which books I wanted to read in the month of September, and these are the books that I picked. And out of those 6 books, I read 5 of them, which I think is pretty good. The only one I didn't get to was Hello Beautiful. I am actually a little sad about that because I was really wanting to try and fit that one in just because it is a reimagining of Little Women, and I love that movie. I've never read the book, but I do love the movies. Also, Hello Beautiful was also one of the 25 books I want to read in 2025. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it back in my TBR cart, and hopefully I can get to it later this year. Finally, I don't have my lamp set up, so the lighting is going to be going in and out. I apologize in advance. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the books I read. I had a really good September. I read, if we count the book that I'm currently reading, and I should finish before September's over, I will have read 17 books this month, which is great. I only had 2 2-star reads this month, and then I did have 2 unfortunate DNFs. One of them is kind of like a soft DNF, but we'll go over that in just a little bit. Outside of that, I had some 3 stars, 4 stars, and some really surprising 5-star reads for September. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's start with the 2 books that I did DNF. The first one I actually talked about when I did my cozy fall romance vlog earlier this month, and that book is The Heartbreak Hotel by Ellen O'Clover. This is a new release for this month, and sadly I did not like our female main character. I also didn't love the plot. The romance was not doing anything for me. This one just was not for me. This is set in Colorado. It's about a woman who is turning a home that she's renting into a bed and breakfast for the brokenhearted with the approval of her landlord, and there's a romance between her and her landlord. So it wasn't for me. And then the other book I DNF'd is sadly the book club pick for my neighborhood in-person book club, and that is The Echo of Old Books by Barbara Davis. I was surprised how much I was not enjoying it. I just was not reaching for it. This is about a woman who owns a rare books type bookshop, and she is a little bit of a book empath. She can hold a book and she can feel who owned these books before. She just knows the history of the book just by touching it. So there is a little bit of magical realism there. Our female main character ends up finding 2 journals or published books, but there's no author names on either of these books. There's no little copyright page, so she knows nothing about these books. And what's more is when she touches it and when she holds these 2 books, she doesn't feel anything. She doesn't know anything but their history, so that's kind of odd for her. And also these 2 books tell conflicting stories about the same romance between the same 2 people. So this is like a diary of 2 separate people who have fallen for each other, and so it's really kind of a mystery about what happened to these people, where this book came from. So it's historical fiction. It's a little bit of magical realism, and the reason why I DNF this one, I was bored. The writing was really fluffy. I didn't care. This is a little bit of a book within a book because we're getting pages from both of these books so that you can read along with our female main character as she's reading these journals to find out what happened with this love story. So that part I did like, but I didn't care and it was kind of boring for me. And the writing was also really fluffy. So I'm actually going to do a soft DNF on this one because I had just finished One Dark Window and I was really wanting to jump right into 2 Twisted Crowns. So I think that may have kept me from enjoying this book like maybe I would have. I don't know. If you've read this book, let me know if you really enjoy this and if you think I should give it another chance. But I'm thinking I'm probably going to do a soft DNF and try and pick it up maybe later next year. Okay, next let's talk about the 2 books that I sadly gave 2 stars to. The first one is The Asylum Hotel by Juliet Blackwell. This is going to be a kind of a mystery about an abandoned and haunted hotel. The premise of this book sounded fantastic. A haunted, abandoned hotel. That sounds amazing, and I thought I would enjoy this. It just didn't land for me, unfortunately. The story overall just really went off track. I did not like the plot twist, and the dialogue felt really clunky and a little bit cringy. So sadly, that's why I gave this one 2 stars. And then my surprise 2-star read is Arcana Academy by Elise Kova, and I am so surprised I did not like this one. This is going to be your dark academia fantasy romance. And the magic system, the reason why I got this is because of the magic system, and that is tarot cards. So the whole magic system revolves around the tarot cards that you learn about in this book. And that's the whole reason why I bought this book. I thought I would love that. And unfortunately, with this one, I was really confused through the majority of the book. There's a lot of characters that I had a hard time keeping track of. Also, ironically, even though I bought this book and wanted to read this book because of the unique magic system, that magic system ended up being the book's downfall for me. I was bored to tears throughout this book when we got to the fight scenes using these tarot cards. I was confused. I didn't care. I found myself skimming. It was not interesting to me. So sadly, that's why I did not like Arcana Academy. But if you have this on your TBR, if you've been wanting to read this, don't let my review or my opinions keep you back from reading this. I think I am the outlier on this one. I follow some other booktubers who read predominantly fantasies, and they love this book. This is a 5-star read for a lot of them. Also, a couple of you have said that you really enjoyed this book. So still give this a chance if you bought this, or if you are trying to get it from the library, still give it a chance. But for me, it was a 2-star, was not for me. All right, let's get into the books that I did like, and let's start with the very first book that I read in September, and that is The Haunting of Gillespie House by Darcy Coates. And this is going to be your spooky horror haunted house type book. And I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely more of like a novella. It's under 300 pages, so I was able to breeze through this very quickly. But this one is about a woman who is hired to be kind of a house sitter for this house in the English countryside for a month, while the couple that owns this house goes off to a couples retreat. And she starts experiencing some spooky things from the very first time she steps into the house. She is actually staying in one room, and she keeps hearing sounds from the room next door. However, that room has been closed off for years, and she can't get into the room. So there's also a creepy graveyard, a mausoleum, a crypt. It's just a very spooky book. And with this one, Darcy Coates, I've spoken about her books before. She just knows how to write spooky haunted house books like no other. I know some people classify her books kind of like light horror, and I would agree with that. I don't get scared in her books, and in fact, I don't get scared in really any horror book. With this one, just the atmosphere and the setting, the mood of the book was just so vivid, and I felt like a spooky movie was happening in my head, and I would absolutely recommend it. I gave it 4 stars, and I thought it was just the perfect kickoff to the fall season. The next 2 books I want to quickly talk about are 2 books that I featured in that cozy fall romance reading vlog that I mentioned earlier, and I will link that video here in the eye, and it will also be linked down in the description. Just scroll all the way to the bottom of the description box and you'll find videos there too. But the very first book I read in that reading vlog was An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating by Cecilia Edward, and this was so delightful. I had such a good time reading this. I gave this one 4 stars. This is just going to be a fun and entertaining and cozy read for spooky season. If you like reading about witchy romances, this is really cute. It's also not spicy at all. There's only, I think, 1 or 2 kissing scenes, but outside of that, there's 0 spice. This is also a romance that involves time travel. We're following a witch, and I believe it's set in the 1600s or the 1700s, and she wants to get married, but no one, she's older, she's 39 years old, no one wants to marry her, so she's trying to create this love potion and brew this love potion. Well, things go horribly wrong, and she finds herself transported into the modern times along with her little cat familiar. And this was so much fun. I really was just grinning from ear to ear the entire time I was reading this. Our witch is a little bit grumpy. The cat familiar who can communicate with our witch is very snarky, and he's learning modern slang, and I found that part funny, but I was giggling through most of this book. It was really cute, and more than anything, there is a little sweet romance, but it's kind of in the back burner. It's really more about this woman who is just trying to learn about living in this modern time and learn how to date in modern time. It was so cute. Loved it. 4 stars, and I would recommend it for spooky season. Next book I read in that reading vlog is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This is the book that everyone's reading right now, and this I gave a surprising 5 stars to. I don't typically give these fall cozy contemporary romances 5 stars. They're usually 3 stars, maybe 4 stars, but for the most part, they're always 3 stars. But this one just hit and checked all the boxes. I love this so much. If you're a millennial or a Gen Xer like me, you're going to feel so nostalgic reading this because it is set in the fall of 1997. And I really liked how the author just kind of sprinkled the nostalgic things throughout the story, and it wasn't overkill. She did a great job doing that. But this is going to be your single dad, small town, reverse grumpy sunshine a little bit, opposites attract. There is some spice in here, but I was able to get through it okay. I don't mind some spice in my book. I just don't like Elsie Silver's spice. But I thought this was just a very sweet story. So if you're looking for just a really good cozy fall romance, pick this one up. Also too, this dog is featured throughout this book, and he has a really sweet friendship with our single dad's younger daughter, and he is such a good dad. Oh my God, he's a good dad. Love that. Love Cliff. But this dog also has a surprise epilogue. You have an entire last chapter with the POV of this dog, and it was so sweet. I cried. Oh my gosh. Read this book. It really is worth all the hype that it's getting. Okay, the next book I read was another cozy fall romance, and that is The Honeycrisp Orchard Inn by Valerie Bowman. And I gave this one, I probably should have talked about this early on, but I gave this one 2.5 stars, and I rounded up to 3. But now that I've sat on this for a while, I'm thinking I should probably round it down to 2, just because I really did not enjoy this one. This is another just cozy small town romance. It features a little bit of childhood friends to lovers. With this one, I really did not enjoy it. I would say what I did like about it, and the only thing I would recommend about it, is if you're looking for a book that's going to give you those cozy fall vibes, that fall setting, then this would absolutely deliver on that coziness, because it is set on an apple orchard, which I thought was great. It also has a small town atmosphere, which I thought was really cozy and fun. And those two things were really the only thing I enjoyed about this book, sadly. I think overall this book, I was just kind of bored with it. It really fell short just with the storyline and the characters. We got a lot of inner monologue with our female main character that just really dragged on. And this is actually a short book. I think it's under 300 pages too. And I don't know, in the end, I was just bored with it. I didn't love the romance. And I think there are other good cozy fall romances for you to read if that is the vibe you're going for. This one just really lacks some depth and some story development and character development. And I was just bored, so I gave it 2.5 stars. Next up is Crazy Spooky Love by Josie Silver, and I gave this one 3.5 stars, and I did round up to 4. I really enjoyed this one, and I would absolutely recommend it. This is going to be kind of like a paranormal type romance, because it is about a woman who can see ghosts, and she starts this ghost hunting business with her good friend, and then I think a 19-year-old boy. She just has this ragtag group of employees with her, and it was so cute. I wanted to read this one because I heard it was going to give me Scooby-Doo vibes, and I would say that is definitely the case with this one. In fact, there are a lot of Scooby-Doo references. I just really ended up enjoying this one more than I thought I would. I have read one other book by Josie Silver. I read her new release this past summer, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but I did not love that one, and I was worried going into this one that I wouldn't like it, but I did really enjoy it. This is about a woman who she can see ghosts, and she starts kind of like a Ghostbuster type business. She's a little bit of a ghost hunter, and she wants to help ghosts cross over and keep them from haunting houses. And with her first job, she finds that there's 3 ghosts who are brothers who are haunting this one home, and one of those brothers was murdered. So she's trying to figure out who murdered this brother, and so there is a mystery that she's trying to solve in this book, which I did really enjoy too. Just overall, I thought this book was really fun and entertaining, and I think if you like the Riley Thorns series by Lucy Score, then you would probably like this book. There is a second book coming out in this series in October called Kooky Spooky Love that I do plan to read, but I had a good time with this. It's fun, it's entertaining, there's not a lot of depth to it. It's just a good, fun, and entertaining book, and I would recommend you pick it up for spooky season. I had a good time with it. Next book I read is Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, and this is a haunted house horror story, and this is the first book I read by this author. She has a few others out, and I do have one on October's TBR called Cackle that I'm trying to get to, but I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I do plan to read, like I said, this is my first book by this author, so I don't have anything to compare it to, but I had a good time reading it. I think if you're interested in reading this one, go into this one expecting a dysfunctional family drama with a haunted house setting, and also expect not to love our female main character, whose name is Cleo. She is the youngest sister of 3. She's very bratty. She's very self-centered and selfish. She's not very likable, but I still found her endearing and I was still kind of rooting for her. The story takes place inside this haunted house that she grew up in for a little while when she was a kid with her mom. And her mom has died, and Cleo's actually going back to this house in order to kind of renovate the house so that her and her sisters can flip it. And I found some of the hauntings very spooky and creepy. I love the writing. It was actually kind of funny. If you like dark comedy, if you like kind of campy comedy, you would probably enjoy this. And I've heard that's the case with all of her books, so I cannot wait to read more from this author. I think the only thing I didn't like about it is I felt like the ending was a little bit rushed. I felt like it could have been fleshed out a little bit more. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It digs into grief and trauma and a little bit of parent abandonment. It's definitely spine chilling. You guys already told you, I don't get scared in books, but this was a little bit spooky. And I love the spooky scenes. It was just a very well written, entertaining book. And like I said, I gave it 4 stars. Next up is Things You Save in a Fire by Katherine Center. I have read a lot of books by Katherine Center, and she is one of my favorite authors. Love her books, but I'm used to more women's fiction that are more rom-com-y, and this one is a little bit different. This one is definitely more women's fiction and light to almost non-existent rom-com. In this book, we're following a female firefighter who moves from Austin to Boston because her mom, she kind of has a strained relationship with her mom. Her mom is sick and she needs kind of help. She needs to kind of take care of her mom, and so she gets a transfer into this all-male firehouse. This book is really about healing and finding forgiveness. Our female main character, Cassie, is working in a male-dominated field, specifically at a firehouse where she is the only female firefighter. She is constantly having to work harder and trying to prove herself as an equal to these men in this profession. It kind of touches on some of that trauma. It also touches on some complicated family stuff that she's dealing with. I mean, Cassie's just going through a lot. She's going through it, and you're following right along with her as she's dealing with everything that's being thrown at her. To be honest, the beginning of this book was very slow, and I had a hard time getting into it, but probably once I got 25% of the way through, I started to enjoy it. There is a romance in here. I really didn't care about the romance. I was more interested in the complicated relationship that she had with her mother and her working relationships with her co-workers at this firehouse. I found all of that interesting and not so much the romance. But I think the reason why I gave this 4 stars is something about Katherine Center's books that I love most. I love her quirky characters. I love the funny inner monologue that we get with the female characters. I love the funny banter. I mean, every book that I've read so far by Katherine Center had some of that, and this one really didn't have that, and I missed that in this book. So that's why I gave it 4 stars. Still a great book. I would recommend it, but this one is definitely more like a women's fiction than her newer rom-com type book. The next book I read was a digital ARC that I got from NetGalley called The Austen Affair by Madeline Bell. This is a contemporary romance. This is about 2 actors who are in production of a Jane Austen film, and they don't get along. He is a stuffy Brit and she is just a very carefree American, and they just butt heads constantly. Well, something happens and they find themselves transported from current time into 19th century, specifically Jane Austen's era. And they are just having to kind of find their way in the 19th century and get used to what's happening around them and trying to find their way back to modern time. This one was really cute, and you guys know I love time travel books, so if I hear there's a book out that's a time travel, I'm probably going to try and read it. And I thought it was cute and entertaining. It did not knock my socks off. It wasn't anything special. It was fun and silly, and it did have a unique plot that I loved. But I did find myself bored once I got to the halfway mark. I kind of was ready for things to start progressing and move on, and it just kind of dragged out a little bit in the middle. Also too, while I did enjoy our 2 main characters individually, I did not like them together. With that said, I did have a good time reading this. I thought it was fun and cute and silly, and if you're just looking for a fun good time, something that doesn't take a lot of brain power, that doesn't have a lot of depth, then maybe pick this up, especially if you like time travel or Jane Austen in general, then you might like this one, but I gave it 3 stars. Next, I read the famous Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I gave this 5 stars. So you guys know this is a classic, and I get it. I understand why, but this is going to be your classic gothic thriller. It's very moody, very atmospheric. You're following this woman who marries this widower. When she goes to this man's estate, she finds that Rebecca, who is the wife that passed away, she's not haunting this estate. She's really, her memory, her spirit is just casting a shadow onto this estate and the people who work there and the people in this town surrounding this very rich estate. And I thought that was really, really interesting. The writing and the storytelling and the prose was just so atmospheric and haunting. And I feel like authors just do not write like this anymore. We certainly don't talk like this, but writers, I feel like, I think they strive to write like this, but I don't think authors quite can get there. The writing was so good. I did struggle just a smidge getting into it at first, but I got locked in pretty quickly. And then definitely by around this part, this last probably third of the book, I was really locked in and I was on the edge of my seat. So this is going to be your gothic thriller. It's going to be a little bit of a psychological thriller and a domestic thriller all wrapped into one. It was so well executed. It is a beautiful classic. I think if you struggle with classics but you like thrillers and mysteries, maybe give this one a chance. But I loved it. This is a classic for a reason. I get it now, and I gave it 5 stars. The next book I read was The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This is my first novel by this author, and this was her debut novel, and I really enjoyed this one. It is also a shorter book, but you are following 2 different timelines, and you're following 2 different POVs. In one timeline, you're following a woman who is making these potions to help facilitate the death of some really bad men. And then the other timeline, you're following a woman who has found out that her husband of 10 years has been cheating on her, and she goes on this solo vacation to England to just kind of do some self-care and self-reflection, and she stumbles across an empty vial and she's trying to figure out the history, and those 2 stories kind of collide. And I thought the writing was so beautiful. I thought the plot and the synopsis and the storytelling was very interesting, but this one I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was a very fast read. I flew through it in probably like 3 or 4 hours. If you're looking for just a shorter women's fiction that would be perfect for the fall season, then maybe give this one a try. It's definitely kind of a historical fiction, definitely women's fiction. It's not witchy, but the fact that this woman is using natural herbs and whatnot to make potions make it more appropriate, I think, for fall. But I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is my other surprise 5-star read, and that is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. This is a contemporary romance. It's kind of like a second chance love. This book you're following Naomi and Nicholas, and they are engaged. They've been engaged for a while, and I wouldn't say that Naomi has fallen out of love with Nicholas. I will say that the newness of her relationship has kind of dried up, and everything Nicholas does annoys the crap out of Naomi, and she is finding it harder and harder for reasons to stay with him, but she cannot break this engagement, because if she does, then she's going to have to pay all the deposits for this wedding that's supposed to happen. So she doesn't have the money, and she's actually about to get laid off. So she is trying to do things to make Nicholas break off the engagement so that she's off the hook with all this money. And I'll be honest with you, I cannot believe I'm giving this book 5 stars, because this book is full of things I normally do not like when it comes to contemporary romances. So first, there is a petty and passive-aggressive female main character. There's a complete lack of communication throughout this book. That is the sole reason why a lot of the issues Naomi has in the relationship is because they're not communicating with each other. And usually I hate that, but it works in this book. Also, this book is full of just immature, borderline mean pranks that they're playing on each other. But despite all that, I love this book. I love the pranks. I loved that there wasn't any communication, and that was the problem because it made the book more funny, which is weird. And also too, I love Naomi. I love Nicholas too. I love them together. I love that they were just kind of at each other's throat. It's kind of like War of the Roses, if you remember that movie with Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas. It's kind of the same thing, but not, they're not trying to kill each other. They're just trying to break up their relationship, and they're trying to make living with each other hard. And it was just, I was laughing so much in this book. I cannot remember the last time I laughed this hard. I mean, I laughed in a couple other books I read this month, but this one, I was just giggling nonstop. It was so cute. Also too, this is a second chance trope. I don't usually love those, but it worked in this one because the pranks and the things they were doing to each other was kind of like, and it was cute. I just ate it up. This is a book I just flew through. I was laughing so hard. I want to read more from this author, so if you've read any of her other books, let me know if they're just as funny. But if you have not read this one, please pick it up. This is actually set in the fall time, so if you're looking for a good, funny, and entertaining fall romance, then give this one a try. But overall, love this book. I gave it a surprise 5 stars. There wasn't anything that I hated about this book, and I cannot wait to read more from Sarah Hogle. All right, the last 2 books I want to talk about is the Shepherd King Duology by Rachel Gillig. Well, first, I read One Dark Window. Easy 5 stars. I knew this was going to be a 5-star book when I was just a few chapters in. And then when I finished this one, I actually started Asylum Hotel, and then I tried to read Echo of Old books, and they just were not hitting because I was wanting to jump right into Two Twisted Crowns. I am actually reading this right now. In fact, I am 2/3 of the way through. I have about 120 pages left, which I will be able to finish this one before the end of September. But this is such a great gothic fantasy romance series. It's 2 books. It's a duology. So if you're looking for just a good dark gothic fantasy that is perfect for spooky season, then I would absolutely tell you to stop what you're doing and read these books. If you own it, take it off your shelf, dust it off, and start reading it now, because that's what I did. And I cannot believe this has been sitting on my shelf. Well, not this book, this is new, but I have the paperback. I cannot believe that book was sitting on my physical TBR shelves for over a year just collecting dust. But basically, we're following Elspeth, and she has a monster in her head. There is an infection, there is a mist in her town, and she has been infected, and she has a monster living in her head that is kind of protecting her and helping her and kind of guiding her. So really, that's all you need to know. But I do really love gothic fantasy. I've learned that gothic fantasy romance is definitely my preferred subgenre. And this one just felt like just a masterpiece of that genre. And I don't think anyone could say anything to make me feel differently. So overall, this book was just so good. The atmosphere in it was just so dark and mysterious and magical and mystical and haunting and just obsessively good. So if you're looking for a good short fantasy romance series to get into, try this duology. The books themselves, I think, are under 400 pages. I think the second one might be a little bit longer, but these aren't going to be 800-page books. These are shorter, and it is a completed series because it's just 2 books. So give this a chance. Love it. Both of these get 5 stars. Okay, I got them all stacked up. Let's see if I can channel my inner strength and lift these heavy books up. But my friends, these are the 17 books that I read in the month of September. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what books you read in September, or let me know which books were your favorites or your least favorites. Also, let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought about them. Do you agree or disagree with my opinions? But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.